Hi guys, so here we are with the top horror movies on Hulu for October 2018. These are ones that may be limited, so they may not be on here past this month. All of these are good scary movies to watch for the Halloween season, and these are our favorites in absolutely no particular order. So, Jigsaw. It's the last of the Saw movies, and it doesn't have any of the characters from like the other Saw movies. What did you think?
It was good. I'd say probably the best one, I think, in
Really?
my opinion.
I think it was better than like the last couple of the
Yeah,
of the
the
Saw.
last couple. Oh yeah, this one was the one where
Oh, it is art. I'll just cut that part out. So yeah, this is the one where you're dealing with two different timelines. Well, actually, you do that with most of the Saw movies, so never mind. If you like the other Saw movies, you're probably going to like this one, and it will finish out the franchise. So there's that.
Chucky Play.
So next movie is
Chucky Play.
Child's Play.
Child's Play. I get confused.
You know, it really doesn't hold up well. It
No.
came out when I was a kid, and now it's kind of, back then it was like really scary, and we were all afraid of it. But now it's just kind of cheesy. But if you're setting up, you know, like a Halloween scary movie marathon,
Play 'em all.
Maybe.
play them all.
Do it.
You could do a lot worse. The first one is kind of scary. Curse of Chucky is kind of scary too, but all the other ones are just good cheesy fun. It's a classic. The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That was our theme.
That was a theme for a Christmas party that we decorated for a few weeks ago. Our table was Nightmare Before Christmas. It's fun. It's a kids movie, but it's also good for adults too. It's got a lot of humor, and it's one of the few, you know, Halloween movies that's really appropriate for kids too. So there's that.
Very appropriate.
Anaconda.
I love bio horror movies. Movies where like animals are taking over the world or killing a bunch of people. I think they're so much fun. Anaconda is about an anaconda, and it's got J-Lo in it.
A bigger anaconda.
The Tall Man had so much potential. It's got Jessica Biel. You know, they live in this small kind of northwestern, you know, Pacific town, and a bunch of kids go missing. And they say that the Tall Man is taking them. Nobody can figure out why. So Jessica Biel is the town doctor, maybe the nurse. Anyway, she seems to be the only medical professional in town. And when her son disappears and she tries to chase after him, that's really where the movie takes off. It does become a little heavy-handed with the political stuff. I think if they had taken most of that out, it would have been okay. But up until that point, yeah, it's a pretty good thriller. It's not really horror. So don't go into this thinking that you're going to be scared because you won't be.
So how tall is Jessica Biel? So
I don't know.
okay.
Why?
I wanted to see if he was actually the tall man.
Shutter Island. Leonardo DiCaprio. So, you know, if nothing
It's gonna be
else,
great.
you have him to look forward to watching the whole film. This is based on a book by the same guy who wrote Mystic River and Gone Baby Gone, but this is a thriller. So again, this isn't horror movie so much as it is a thriller, but it's a period film that takes place in an insane asylum on Shutter Island, which is pretty awesome from the get-go. And that's all I'm going to tell you about that one because it's one that you're almost better going into blind because there are quite a few twists to it.
Poltergeist 2, did we do that?
No, I haven't done that one yet.
Okay, it's the sequel to Poltergeist 1, since it's called Poltergeist 2. It's about the Freeling family moves into a new house.
No, they don't move into a new house. They go and stay with the grandma. And instead of the little girl getting sucked into a TV, in this one, like dead people talk to her through like her telephone and stuff.
They realize they can come out of the TV. Screw with them like that.
It's not as good as the first one, but it's still fun. And actually, one of the grossest things in a movie that I have ever seen is in this one. It's where he drinks the tequila. I can't even watch that scene. It's awful. It's not scary, but if you're really into, you know, the first one and you want to see a continuation of that story, I would probably give it a go. Actually, we kind of like the third one too, where Carol Ann gets sucked into the rain puddle.
Can I talk to him about that?
Yes, go ahead and tell them about part three.
So, like, Poltergeist free, like, kind of the same thing, Caroline, except gets, like, she gets sucked in a puddle, and, like, she's just, like, in the beginning, she's just, like, this weird guy on, like, a weird, I don't know what it's called,
It's like the preacher.
preacher. And it's, like, goes up, and then when she looks, it's, like, this guy's looking at her, and she's, like, and then, like, the fork happens, like, her neighbors, like,
Yeah, Iris really likes it. She used to beg us to let her watch that all the time.
It's not 28 days later. It's not 28 months later. 28 years later.
28 Weeks Later is the sequel to 28 Days Later. What's interesting about this one is it doesn't follow just one character. It follows like different characters, and just as soon as you get like used to one person, they die or something happens to them, and then you move on down the chain. It's definitely not as good as 28 Days Later, but it is.
A new genre of movie.
It's a zombie. It's a zombie movie.
Yeah.
And if you're into zombie movies, it's okay. I like it. It works as a standalone movie. You know, you don't have to have seen the original or the first one to understand the second one.
Well, yeah, this guy's pretty nice. Oh, he just got flattened by a truck. Oh.
The Blair Witch Project. So back before everybody and their brother were doing, found footage, low budget films, the Blair Witch Project, which was not the first, but sometimes it gets credited to being the first, it came out and scared the hell out of everybody. Now people are like, oh, it's so cheesy, it's so bad, I wasn't scared, blah, blah, blah. I was scared. In fact, when I came home from watching it that first night, I was like 21 years old or something. I couldn't even lay on my side because I couldn't face a corner of the room. I kept thinking about that very last scene. I think it's still a good, solid found footage horror.
What happened? What was the thing? What was the
They
claim?
go out, they find this abandoned house.
Ooh.
The Haunting in Connecticut. So the thing that's famous about this movie, or not famous, like famous in my own head, the thing that stands out about this movie is not actually this one, but the sequel, which has the best title in horror movie history. The sequel to The Haunting in Connecticut is The Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghosts of Georgia.
It's called The Haunting
In
in Connecticut.
Connecticut, The Ghosts of Georgia.
3 states away.
Like
Right.
5 or something. Yeah, different parts of the country. So this one is based on a true story, and the original story came on the show A Haunting, which I am talking to producers about our family being on that show too, just FYI. But it originally aired as The Haunting. It was a 2-part kind of miniseries thing, and it was really, really scary. So they took that story and they made a movie out of it, and they totally dumbed it down, and it's not scary anymore. But if you like the haunted house subgenre, it still stands pretty well as a haunted house movie. So it's good. It's not number 1 on the list, but it's not all the way at the bottom either. It's kind of in the middle. See, look. And then we have The Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghosts of Georgia, which was also its own little mini-series and was really creepy. It's a true story. And then they made a movie out of it and dumbed it down, and it's not anywhere near as good anymore. Tell the title first.
The house is that October build. It's about
Mockumentary.
a mockumentary about a group of people going around the United States, going to different haunted houses. They get on the nerve of a bunch of people while they're looking for the scary
They're looking for like the scariest haunted house out there.
haunted house.
That's the storyline.
Yeah.
They're just traveling around the country trying to find the scariest haunted house. Like not a real haunted house, but like a Halloween haunted house with actors and stuff. And they're really into that kind of extreme haunting, It's a mockumentary, and actually the sequel, I liked it too. If you get on Reddit and stuff, they're gonna like, a lot of people don't like it, but Sam and I liked it. Like, we've watched it more than once. I kind of like the mockumentary found footage ones when they're done well, and this one is.
Mom and Dad. How about that?
Okay, talk about it.
Mom and Dad is, again, Nicolas Cage.
Let Iris talk about this one. Okay, what's it about?
Well, the first thing I gotta say is it's not really appropriate for kids.
It is probably not appropriate for kids.
No.
But, of course, mine have seen it
It
because
kills kids.
Yeah.
parents lose their marbles and start,
Killing their kittens.
yes,
Basically start killing their kids.
it's a black comedy. It's a horror comedy. So, it's got Nicolas Cage, but it's one of
Yeah.
the few times that Nicolas Cage works in a movie.
And
It's kind of
also,
built for him.
it's also built for grown-ups and not kids. Kids know it's it.
Paranormal Activity. So this is another one that kind of restarted the found footage movie craze. It was a basic budget. It was even filmed in like the director's own house or something. And it's just this couple who find out that their house is haunted, so they set up video cameras trying to catch the ghosts. That's it. Small plot, not a lot happens, but for the haunted house subgenre and for the found footage subgenre, it's really one of the best ones out there. There's a reason they made like 10 more. It's because this one really worked. So this one isn't scary, but this was one of my favorite movies as a kid, The Monster Squad. It's about these friends,
Like these friends are like this, like
they have a club.
they have like a club, and at some point they meet Frankenstein, and like the little girl's like, he will hurt you, and they're like, ah!
So these friends group of boys have formed this club in their small town. They call themselves the Monster Squad. And then, as luck would have it, some big crates drop out of the sky, and the Wolfman and Frankenstein and Dracula and the water monster thing, they all come to the town to like take over the world. It is fun, and it is definitely kid friendly.
The only monster that doesn't come to take over the world
It's
is
Frankenstein.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. The Others. So The Others came out around the same time as The Sixth Sense, and it's not remembered as often as The Sixth Sense was. It's a period movie. It takes place in World War II. Whole thing takes place in one house. Nicole Kidman plays a woman who has two kids, and really weird stuff is going on in the house. So it's definitely haunted house subgenre, and it's got an ending that you don't really see coming. It's a beautiful movie, and even though it's kind of a slow burn, a lot happens in it, and I recommend it to anybody who likes good old-fashioned ghost stories.
And it's not the fifth Others of the Lost Island.
Right, it's not The Others from Lost.
Medea Boo Halloween. It's about Medea and her friends and
At Halloween.
at Halloween. A bunch of teenagers stop messing with them and
They mess back.
they mess back.
This was the first.
Medea.
This is the first Medea movie I had seen, and
It's good.
it's okay.
It's okay.
It wasn't as funny as I expected it to be. Honestly, I thought it was kind of preachy and long-winded. But, I mean, a lot of people really like it, so it's something that, it's on Hulu. It's free if you have Hulu. Gremlins.
Oh,
How can you not love Gremlins?
he's so cute.
So cute. Oh, little Mowgli.
But it's basically this like weird minion monster thing, and this kid gets it for Christmas, and his dad gives him a list what to do and what to feed him, and he says, do not feed him at night,
After midnight.
because more of them spawn.
And then they get really nasty. I mean, I always think of Gremlins as kind of being like a Christmas movie too, but I mean, it's fun for kids. It is a little scary, maybe if they're young. It's not something you'd want to show them, but mine love it. I loved it when I was a kid.
I really wish I could tell him
Spoiler
something.
alert. John dies at the end.
VHS is another found footage film, and it's one of the most famous ones. It's an indie film, so it didn't have a big budget, and it's like a collection of stories. Each one lasts about 15 minutes. Some are better than others, but it is so good. I mean, again, if you're not really into found footage, it may not be something that you're going to like, but I love it. And actually, VHS 2 is pretty good too, and both of these are on Hulu right now. So, you're looking at an anthology of horror stories. You get some monsters, you get like some alien type thing, you get an incubus, you get ghosts, you get demons, you get a little bit of everything in it. I mean, it's one, not for kids, but for good sort of adult humor and adult situations. Anybody who likes found footage and kind of likes horror that's off the beaten path, VH1 movie, VHS, I said VH1, VHS movies are ones that I would throw out there. Burnt Offerings is an amazing horror movie. It's a haunted house film about this family who they get hired to look after this old woman in like this mansion, and they're supposed to look after her for maybe it's a summer or maybe it's forever. I can't remember. But the house is like really falling apart and stuff. But when they get in there and they start taking care of the woman, the house slowly begins like rebuilding itself. It is super creepy and it's really, really good. Like every time I recommend this to somebody and they watch it, they end up really liking it. And I don't know anybody who's come away from this movie and be like, "Yeah, that sucked." I mean, it is from the 70s, but it's held up so well over time. Burnt Offerings. You've got to give it a chance while it's still on Hulu. And lastly, we have the movie Honeymoon. This is another slow burn, some people call boring movie about a couple who travel up to a cottage to spend their honeymoon. And once they get there, the wife starts acting very strange. It's almost like she's been possessed. So this is kind of a possession movie. As kind of a monster movie. I don't really know what category to put it in. It's not one that, it's one you're going to have to follow, and it's one that you're going to have to put a lot of thought into. But after I walked away from it and started thinking about it, I really liked it. It's kind of a psychological horror movie that can have more than one meaning. I'm sorry, am I keeping you up? So there you have it. Those are our Hulu horror movie countdowns for October 2018.
Hey, Mom.
Yes.
What if we're doing another one? Can we talk about game night?
Yes, when we do
Game
another one, we'll
night.
talk about game night.
Okay.
All right, everybody. So what do we have to say here at the end?
If you like this video,
If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe,
And leave
or
comment down
comment
below.
down below.
Do all three.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.